Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Alan. I run Valdosta DIY House, and I recorded this interview with Alyssa of Do DIY. If you don't know what that is, I'll read this from their site. Do DIY exists to support DIY spaces, organizers, musicians, performers, writers, activists, and other like minded folks. The site hosts resources for anyone interested in the DIY ethos, as well as maintains a catalog of event spaces and organizers from around the world. Before and after the interview, I'll play a song from a band who has played at the house. For this episode, the intro song will be Robot Song by Surrounder from Pensacola, Florida, and the outro song will be Something I Forgot by the Nocturnal Broadcast from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Here's Robot Song by Surrounder. I guess I'm curious about what your whole background is, DIY and everything. Like since I'm recording this, I
My
might as
punk
well.
rock CV.
Yeah.
What did you say?
What are your credentials? I was saying like since I'm recording this, like it might be useful for people to know who
Yeah,
you are.
totally. I have been going to like DIY shows since I was like 13, 12, something like that. I got my front teeth kicked into the back of my mouth at a Battle of the Bands when I was 12. I feel like that bears mentioning. Um, too close to the pit, trying to take photos. Um, I started organizing shows when I was 22 and did that like mercilessly for 2 years
Where at?
um, in Lancaster,
Okay.
Pennsylvania, which is like my hometown. I live in Olympia, Washington now. So I booked shows at a place called Modest House, uh, and I booked shows at a place called Motorboat 2, which were both places that I lived. Um, and then I booked stuff at like spots around town after that too. But I was having like 5 shows a month at certain points in time, and it wasn't sustainable for me. I eventually burned out, and like my partner decided, like, got laid off and decided to move. as far away as possible, basically. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna come. I'm like gonna tie up loose ends and go. So then I moved to Olympia, Washington about 5 years ago, and I haven't been organizing a ton of shows, but I was like one of the founding Zine Fest members here. So I did a lot of like zine DIY stuff. And I've been photographing shows as long as I've been going to them too, which is, I have a whole other idea for a photo book someday. Um, but yeah, so and out here I book shows like every now and then. Mostly I just run a seasonal open no mic that we do 4 times a year. And by we I mean just mostly me.
Yeah, I use we so
um,
often, and it's like literally me all the time.
yeah. Yeah, when I was in Lancaster, I founded a thing called DIT Lancaster, which was like do it together
Uh-huh.
instead of DIY, which was based off of my experience with DIT Kalamazoo in Michigan, and by extension Grand Rapids too, because I have friends that are from Kalamazoo and went to visit and like saw them hosting like shows, like quiet small shows on like porches and shit, and I was like, oh, so you mean I can have a show? Like even if I can't have like loud bands.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, like hugely inspirational. But yeah, I founded DIT Lancaster and I tried really hard to get other people involved with it, but it was mostly just me also doing that. So it's just been like DIY music's been an integral part of my life for a huge, like really, really long time. Like for more of it than it hasn't, basically. And I also only really started playing music. I mean, I started playing music in like 2012, but I don't count it because it was not good. I don't want anyone to hear it. I play music occasionally now. I feel way more comfortable in an organizer capacity than I do like as a musician or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
I've been also making zines for like 10 years now as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that back when you used to do shows in Lancaster, that there were houses that you were living at. Did you have roommates in those houses?
Yes.
What was like? Was there like a dynamic between your roommates and stuff? I've always been worried about having a roommate that wouldn't be down. Luckily, my roommate's super down. I imagine it could be
That's
difficult.
Yeah, that's fucking ideal. Like when I was at the first house I started booking shows at, I only did quiet shows. So it was like a lot more low impact. And the people that were living there were kind of indifferent towards it. They would
Yeah.
like be stoked sometimes, but most of the time they just kind of like watched me do my thing. Um, and then at Motorboat, it was like a bunch of people that were like involved in the DIY scene that lived there and to varying degrees of stokedness. At a certain point, I was hosting too much stuff, which was why I started hosting stuff like around town too, and
Hmm.
not just at the house.
You talked about shooting photos. Do you have a background in art?
Oh yeah, I'm a visual artist first and foremost. Been like drawing and stuff since I was like able to hold a pen. Kind of, I was always interested in drawing and writing, which I guess is where zines came in. And I've always had a camera around my neck too, just documenting, just a voyeur in my own life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally feel that. Like that's how I used to I haven't shot photos in years now, but I studied art in college. I have a degree in it, and like I mostly did photography stuff, and then I would often show up to parties with my camera and just sort of document parties and get like cool portraits of people. And then I needed money to pay rent, so I sold my camera, and I haven't had a camera since then.
Ah, I've had the same camera for like 10 years and just the lens keeps dying and I just keep buying a new kit lens for $30 or whatever. Yeah, and again, everything that I do, I don't do super well. Like I shoot photos, but I'm not a fucking expert on it. And I draw, but I'm like,
It's
I'm
like
not
a
like a master
like an
illustrator or anything.
autobiography title. Everything I do, I don't do super well.
This sounds like a Jeff Rosenstock song.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you get into DIY?
So I guess maybe my first exposure to anything was in middle school. I had some friends who played in a band, and I thought it was super cool, and I wanted to be a part of it in any way that I could. But I mean, we were in middle school, but like my grand idea was like, oh, let me be your band manager. And it's like that doesn't mean
Nice.
anything in middle school. Like, but that's where I first started. Like I because I was not musically talented, I was like, well, I'll just be supportive, and I started learning how to record music, and I bought my first microphone and like started watching tons of YouTube videos about how to record things properly and how to set up instruments, and like I learned how to, tune and change strings on guitars and tune drums and like all the maintenance sort of things with instruments. So I got super into that, and like
I need to
my
learn that stuff.
I played in a couple bands. Then, like back when I was in college and studying art, I had my camera, so I would like photograph shows often. I always had friends who were just artists and musicians. And then, yeah, when we moved into this space, it's like, well, now I can host shows now, and while I'm doing it, I might as well record the bands, and while I'm at it, I might as well record video, and I might as well put it on YouTube, and like I might as well try to make this like a big thing. And it blew up super quickly. Like again, it's been about 5 months, and like the house Instagram page is about to be at 1,000 followers, and it's all just been like organic sort of growth.
That's amazing.
And like almost every other show, a band will come here and it's like, yeah, like my friend played here, or like my friend told me about the house in this other city, or so I don't know.
That's
It's
good
really
shit.
cool.
That
Yeah.
means you're doing something right.
Yeah, right. Like it makes me feel really happy, and like it's definitely like the kind of role that I feel like most comfortable in, like letting other people do their thing and just being like supportive, whatever
Yeah.
that entails, whether it's like giving them space or giving them the equipment they need, or
Yeah, it sounds like you were in the boat that I was in too, where I like witnessed DIY and was like, this fucking rules. I can't play music. How do I help?
yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do? Do you know, I was gonna say, so I own the house that, well, I co-own the house that I live in with my partner, and the reason that we were able to buy a house basically was that we went to like a class at the library that was hosted by a realtor that like specializes in low income like first time home buyers, and just like shepherded us through the process. So I was gonna say something like that, and like having a crew of people that would be willing to go in is like the whole thing. It's also funny because like that's we're at where I was at when I was leaving Lancaster, and I felt like a traitor for leaving because it's like a small town where
hmm
it's like you need spaces like that, and there aren't any. But like I just had to go. But I was like in meeting with like a group of people that was like thinking about trying to start a space together, trying to get a building. It's yeah. Because renting is hard. Like you get
yeah.
thrust out.
I just need to get a building. It might even be worse when I do get a building. I'll be like, shit, I wish I had that house again. It was so
Have
much
you
easier.
read In Every Town an All Ages Manifesto?
No.
That might be something that you might want to pick up. It's listed in the reading section of Do DIY
Okay, cool.
also. It has like just information about like running a space and how to make it sustainable and how to be like super legit or like not super legit but not get shut down.
hmm
And they do they interviewed people from spaces like all over the country. The cops came to our house after a show one time in the most terrifying way possible. It was like it was over and we were all just like the sober part of tonight is over and we were like smoking weed in the living room and the cop knocks on the fucking door and you can like there was like a window so you could see who was knocking on the door like from the couch that we were smoking weed on. And so the cops, like, I go to the door and shut it behind me to talk to them, and they were like, "Smells good in there," and I was like, "No, it doesn't. What? No, this is nope, nothing's." And yeah, they would, I don't know, said their piece and fucking left. It was just like we often got in trouble for shit that frat kids were doing because we were close to a college too,
mm.
but we're on more of like a family street and like less in the college mix. So whenever some shit went down, they were like, damn that house. And I was just like, I tried so hard to like, I was in touch with like the neighbors immediately around us, but you know, you can't account for everybody on the block, especially when it's like row homes and stuff. It's cool here. The cops don't come to house shows. They just don't. They're like not a prob. It's not a risk. Like it's bizarre to me spending years like prepping to like worrying about the cops, and then here you can do whatever the fuck you want, and they just don't shut stuff down.
Yeah.
I mean, they do other fucked up stuff because they're cops, but they don't fuck with house shows. I've never been to Georgia. I've never been to a lot of places, and I really want to tour, but I don't like my music, and I don't drive really. So
Yeah.
trying to, I'm trying to hold down a merch table. Like, we'll see. I have a tour idea in the works, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you should
that's the
tour.
other thing is I like drove across the country to move here, and then I've driven on a highway like once in 5 years,
Yeah,
and
you're
it
like
was like
that was enough.
last week. Yeah, totally. I was also in like a horrific car accident where I broke both my legs when I was 19 and had to like learn how to walk again.
Oof.
So but it's like weird how PTSD works because yeah, I like went I was like driving normally for like a long time, and then I just broke and was just like, I can't do it anymore. Um, but yeah, I want to, I feel weird being the keeper of this massive like resource of for touring bands, and like I've only been on tour once.
Yeah.
And it was like because I planned a tour for my friends and routed it around like places where my pen pals lived so that I could see them. And because I had been booking shows, so I had a lot of contacts and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been on one tour. It's super fun, super cool. It sucked sleeping on the pavement because it was cooler than sleeping in the van.
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really want to do another tour, especially now that I actually have my bands that I'm kind of feel okay about, and I've been meeting so many people that also book shows. It's like, yeah, just come to my town, and
Yeah, it's
hopefully,
nice when it's easy.
yeah. Who was I talking to? It might have been my roommate or someone about like what it must have been like trying to book a tour in like the 90s or the 80s or even before then. I remember
Yeah.
just
When
like,
it's just all word of mouth
yeah.
and like flyers. You're like, I see this flyer on a telephone pole.
Or just like
I'm
making
sure like
calls to
I
like
there's so
random
many.
cities and like venue owners. It's like, how did,
Yeah. That's like part of the reason that places like Do DIY exist in the first place too. It's just like I know like before Do DIY there was like book your own fucking life. That was like on its way out as I was becoming cognizant of DIY. But just yeah, I can't even imagine. I really want to interview like lifers, people that are like 10 years my senior and older, and just like to know just what it's like, what it was like trying like what's different now, like what's better, what's worse. It's so yeah, I'm also always very curious like what the fuck people do to eke out a living because I don't I don't want a career because I want time to do stuff that I give a shit about, but
mm-hmm.
also just I'm so tired of having a dead end job. Like there's got to be a better way.
Yeah. Oh God, there's got to be, right? Got to figure it out.
There's got to be. There's got to be. But have you ever heard of the Silent Barn? It was in New York. It was a
No.
venue.
I can look
They
it up.
had space. They were amazing. It's a shame that they're no longer a thing, but they had like workspace for artists and I think living quarters maybe. And they also had like a venue space, and they it also had a record shop and a little barber shop in it.
Yeah.
Like it was wild.
Yeah,
It was
that's
like
definitely in like the vein of what
it
I
was
would want to
animated.
do. Like there's a small record shop owner here, and a couple of shows he'll bring a crate and just do a little pop up record shop in the merch room. And then I
Nice.
also have a friend who just got their license in massage therapy, and like she wants to go in on like having a massage space in like the venue gallery or whatever. Like
Yeah.
bands could come and like play their set. They could stay here. They could shower here, and they get a massage, and then go on to the next show.
Oh, that would be dope. That would be like the bougiest tourist experience.
I'm so behind on answering messages, and they're just stacking on top of each other now.
Yeah. That's my entire life, except for do DIY, not for shows. Yeah, I just feel like I'm dropping the ball all the time.
Yeah, and I feel so bad. Like whenever I first started, it was every time someone asked to play a show because I was so excited about it, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And now I'm at the point where it's like I have too many going on. Doing back-to-back shows is proven to be very, very hard and very rough. Like, people will come to the first one, then not the second one, or vice versa.
Yeah,
Um,
I've made that mistake. At a certain point, you have to, yeah, just take the shows that you're like really excited about when you're getting like that kind of influx of stuff. But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to do all the stuff you want to do and then also be able to have them all like be promoted and well attended. Because yeah, I would book a million shows, but like you can only hold people's attention like once a week or something.
yeah, I mean, right now I'm averaging like 2 or 3 shows a week, and
That's wild.
yeah, and I mean,
How
generally,
are you alive?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you get stressed out?
Dude, I'm constantly stressed out. I'm
Yeah, I
stressed
was
out
gonna say,
now.
my tip from the future is to yeah, remember that you like also need to relax.
Yeah.
I'm like coming off of like a major burnout where I was like trying to maintain like my own like Etsy shop, like, stocking shit, having inventory, all the mailing orders out all the time, and also organizing the Zine Fest, and then also do DIY, and then also booking a seasonal open no mic, and then also just like maintaining a home that I now own, and like, you have to fucking feed yourself every day and go to your shitty day job. And I just like I bottomed out.
Yeah. This sounds like way more than I'm doing now, and I've like been on the fence of like burning out, where it's like, oh shit, like if I add 3 more projects, I'm 100% burning out, and I've managed to, ground myself and be like, okay, I'm fine. Like I need to do this, I need to do this, and then I can take a break.
Yeah, I feel like that's the answer to your question is just like what's within your realistic abilities is wherever it's gonna go next. Because like I feel like I've romanticized self-sacrifice just like to like get more cool shit done,
Uh
but
huh.
like
Yeah,
I think I'm
absolutely.
at a point where I'm realizing that like sometimes you need to just like wait.
Yeah. One of my friends was saying something about I don't have a deadline and I don't owe anybody anything at a specific time. I know something I was stressing out about was like editing the video and audio for all the bands. And it's like I have so many due. I'm like 10 shows behind. And it's like, well, you're gonna do them anytime. Nobody like it's an extra thing. Nobody is like pressuring me to get them done or anything like that.
Yeah, you're pressuring you to get them done.
Yeah, I really am because I just
That's
don't want them to stack.
Yeah, that's how I am too. Like everything that is on my to-do list is fucking an emergency, like all the time. And it's like not actually.
Uh
That's
huh.
one of the things I've been trying to do to chill out is like write to schedule something on my to-do list instead of writing it in like all caps and be like, to
Yeah.
do the thing. Be like, write that in your plan.
Yeah. I mean, I need to get better about just being able to write things down. Like I'm very bad at that sort of organization. Like I keep a lot of just things in my head and then get them made whenever I find the time. But often things I'll just forget about, or they'll just get lost in the flood of other projects and other questions and requests and whatnot.
Totally. Yeah, I'm always scared of dropping shit like that too, which is probably why I write everything down. I'm like, here's what's in my pocket right now. It's just like, just tiny scraps of paper with tiny little fucking writing on them. It's all stuff I have to do, or stuff I want to do,
Yeah.
or appointments that I have.
I need to do that. I need to carry more paper and pens around.
So I've been preparing for the Zine Fest, which I'm not organizing this year, but I am tabling. And this is ridiculous. This I can't close my suitcase. But um, I was just realizing. Do you have the Do DIY building zine?
No.
I was gonna say this is information dense, but designed really well.
Nice. Yeah, it looks cool.
Um, this like I have to figure out how to print it properly because it's my responsibility now, at least to some extent. But like it's
Yeah, that looks great.
just this was the one that I made that's like way shorter. It just has like the basics on like what you need, like space, bands, promotion, and then like little things to think about, like, are you gonna offer the bands a place to crash? Like how to like effectively communicate with bands so that you don't end up like up shit creek without a paddle when they don't have your phone number and they're lost and they can't find your house or
Yeah.
whatever, like, which is not so much an issue these days, but like when I was doing that, I didn't have a smartphone, so
Yeah, totally. Yeah, those are great. I definitely want to have anything that you can.
yeah, I want to send you a package or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm like I'm doing like one last big job where I printed a bunch of my zines and I'm gonna sell them at the fest, and then I'm gonna like take a break from stocking them constantly and make some new versions of things. Um, so that's a thing. Also, Neil was talking about the person that handed Do DIY off to me earlier this year was talking about making like a version 2.0 of the building zine, which I was curious to pick his brain about what might be in that, but that would definitely also be a collaborative effort, like gathering information with folks and having different editors and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I need to find people that can help with all of this. I mean, I've had some people reach out, but I'm also just so hesitant because like I do have like my background in art and like I have aesthetic in mind. So
Yeah,
like I just need to find somebody that
that's
vibes with the same aesthetic goals that I have that can sort of take over that.
yeah, and you're like on point with all of the house merch and stuff. It looks good. There's got to be like it sucks too because you just have to walk the line between like I don't want to be the one doing all of this work, but I also want this work to like turn out a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Like not doing everything yourself, but
Yeah. Yeah, but it needs to happen at some point. I just need to find the right people.
totally. That could be like your job in the zine. Like, I mean, you still have people are variables, but like you could just be like the I want it to look this way creatively.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna like solicit text from people and probably do layout shit myself because yeah, just it's like funny how collaborative DIY is and how so much of it is based on like the very principles are like, reciprocity and like collaboration and but I'm still just a fucking like control freak and
Yeah.
like there's so much stuff I'd rather just do myself. But I want to solicit like text and just lay everything out myself, probably. Although I like don't want to be the person doing the layout, so we'll see.
Hey, if you aren't already, make sure to follow at Valdosta DIY House on Instagram and Facebook to keep up with this project and everything else. Check out the YouTube channel where you can watch some past performances at the house. And lastly, if you'd like to support this project, you can do so at patreon.com/Valdosta DIY House. The intro song was Robot Song by Surrounder from Pensacola, Florida, and the outro song will be Something I Forgot by The Nocturnal Broadcast. Both bands who've played here and both super rad, so definitely check them out.
Flyers are so exciting. I used to like at the peak of like living at Motorboat too and having shows there, my one pen pal like moved in with me and was living there and is like an extremely talented artist. And like there's just like so many artists that I really admired like involved in the scene at that time, so it was like flyers were a breeze. I was just like, who wants this one? And they all turned out great. I have like literally this filing cabinet behind me is just full of that shit, just flyers from dating back to, yeah, when I was like 13.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have any like old relics from my early days of going to shows or anything like that.
I'm just a, I'm an archivist. it's it's fitting that Do DIY fell into my hands,
Um,
which I still don't know why
yeah,
I got it, but I'm glad that I did.
yeah. I was gonna ask, like, could you give like a history of how you like what Do DIY was? How did you learn about it? How did you end up where you're at?
um, I learned about it like probably shortly after its inception because when I broke my legs and I was bedridden, all I did was just like research DIY stuff. Um, so yeah, because it was around for like 12 years or something when Neil handed it to me, and I had been cognizant of it for like 10, and I had met Neil once in person when he played at Motorboat One, the predecessor to the house that I booked shows at. um, and it was World History, his band played. And it was like the smallest show ever. Raph made all of us tea, like hot tea, because there was very, very few people there. But it was like really nice, and I like got to talk to him, and that was nice. And then I was like starstruck because he was the guy that ran the site. Hi, Kyle. Um, I had Motorboat listed on it. I'd had Modest House listed on it, and just like was friends with him on the internet or whatever. And then when he posted about, I had also like we had exchanged letters, or I think I wrote him one. He didn't write me one back, but he like listed my zines and stuff on the site too. So we were like internet acquaintances when he posted the thing being like, look, I want to hand off Do DIY. Like, I can't do it anymore, and I want somebody that actually has the time to take care of it. I waited a while, and then I eventually emailed him and was just like, "Are you still, dude? I'm maybe interested in this. If you want to like tell me what it entails exactly." And he like we talked on the phone and emailed back and forth, and I decided that I was cool with it. And then he was like, "Okay, cool. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, he was like, basically said he got like a lot of people contacting him, and he was just like, just, do you want it? I don't know. Something, I don't know. I don't know why I got it. I should ask him. The tour I want to go on is to go visit him in Williams, Oregon, and play at Sugarloaf Resource Center, which is the thing that's taking up most of his time right now. But yeah, super nice dude. I don't know. Pays to be acquaintances with people for 9 years on the internet, I guess. So that you can be handed this like it's just all like HTML too. So
Yeah.
I have an old version of Dreamweaver from 2007, and it was just perfect that it fell into my hands because who the fuck else is like over there tapping around with this defunct technology?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
it yeah, it just worked out perfectly. I like he like sent me it, and I was like, I know exactly what to do with this. Excellent. Like
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, and I'm glad. I like want to prioritize it. I He had hopes of it becoming like a legit nonprofit, and I'm trying to reorganize my life right now in a way that I can dedicate proper time to it. And he said he'd like to be involved again if it were to be a nonprofit because you need like a board and everything. Um, so I want to do that. I'm like tying up loose ends right now and trying to my life implodes like every 3 months or something because I have anxiety and I'm extremely high functioning. So I'm always like, I have so many ideas, so many things I have to do, and then I just burn out.
Yeah,
But
I could definitely
firmly,
relate.
yeah, I'm like firmly trying to reorganize my life right now in a way that makes do DIY like a priority. Um, And it would be super cool to be a nonprofit. And I have folks I can talk to that could probably help me through the process. In the meantime, I'm just super glad that I finally got spring cleaning done in time for fall. It takes like literally I when I sit down with it, it's like 4 hours of work at a time to like make any kind of like dent in the work. So, and I'm trying to fight my control freak tendencies too, and like figure out what help I need and how to ask for it and how to delegate like certain tasks that can be delegated. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get the feeling that we operate very similarly. It was, I think the thing I told Neil on the phone was I'm too organized for punk, and he laughed, and it kind of stuck. That's definitely how I think of myself. I'm like, this is where I am, but I'm also like, I have spreadsheets, you know? Like,
I guess before you leave, like, what do you want to plug, or how can people follow you, or what are you working on?
um, I'm working on not having a mental breakdown. I'm if people want to follow my visual art, my Instagram is craft or DIY official. And if people want to submit their spaces to do DIY, that would be lovely. DoDIY.org. The email is Alyssa, Alyssa, at DoDIY.org. And I need this very vital information, and I will love them. I'll love anyone that gives me the information up front instead of having to exchange several emails with them first. I need the city, state, country, etc., whatever. I need the name of the venue or the person or whatever. I need a URL if you have one, a short blurb that includes helpful things like, do you put bands up? Do you like give the touring band all the money or do you split it? Do you only book certain nights or certain genres, stuff like that? And I need the best way for folks to contact you. And I think that's it. You should look at the website though, because it's like written very plainly at the bottom of the page. It's this wonderful thing that people can go look at and
Yeah.
then action. And then my music's not worth plugging, so that's like pretty much it. I also make buttons and do art.
What's the Do DIY Patreon?
I think it's just do DIY. Yeah,
Okay.
like Patreon/do DIY. Thank you for mentioning that. Also, I'm like, forget that it exists.
Reclining in your gray smile, you draw a breath and calm, and sprawl throughout the house. Meanwhile, scouring every corner on a whim. Did I prepare for every lurking, worrying reason why I'd want to crawl out my skin? If I did, will it cross my mind?